Early?
Plus people.
So, reason hotspots, and she's right, we are looking for hotspots as well, and hotspots growing in temperature, meaning obviously going up at a very quick rate, is just because the law of thermodynamics states temperature is not created, it is simply balanced. So if something is growing in heat somewhere, that means there's a cold spot generating somewhere else, so somewhere probably nearby. I will do a demo with all of these devices. Hang on to your questions once you get your assigned device, because again, we'll be here till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to answer questions. I pretty much answer all of them by our next stop, so just kind of hang on to those questions for me. So quick demo on the thermal. You should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. If you were a bridal party, I would be the hottest thing inside the picture, just so you all know. But with that, really what we're looking for in here are those cold spots. They're going to show up as blue or black. Now, we want blue and black to actually be in the frame, but what we're looking for are for them to either take shape or start moving on their own. So I love this technology. Like, this is an actual FLIR Pro. What does that mean for you? This is what firemen use to actually help save people. So this is the real deal. Like, I don't play around with this stuff. So again, this particular camera is also set up to where there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen, giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So the reason for that is it's kind of helping direct your eye when you get your video back, so that way you guys know where the coldest spots are. Now, when I do find things, is it always wrapped around that coldest spot? Not necessarily, but it does help direct our eye. So, Jeff, you're going to be our cameraman for the night. You're going to hold that horizontally just like that all night long.
Like that?
Yep, just like so you can see it.
Don't get your finger.
The lens. Good job. Perfect. Everybody does it. So we're going to do a few starts and stops with that, only because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, we're going to lose a lot of footage, and we don't want to do that. So I'll kind of give you the cues for starting and stopping it.
Okay.
Just make sure when you start it, you're in that exact same position that you're in right now.
Okay.
You're going to be the only person using a camera right now, throughout the night even. So I will kind of do like, some people don't like their cars to be filmed, and they don't like to be filmed either.
Right.
So we all paid to be filmed. So I was going to say, hang on, I already got all my group. Who the heck's showing up? So, but I got to remember, there's a Barbie night. Somebody's got to go party. So.
That's where we end. We're just holding.
It's recording.
You gotta turn it off and on.
Spirit
Then
boxes.
you gotta don't put it down.
We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead, in case you're unfamiliar with these. Basically, it's going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a quick rate. On your TV shows and your YouTube videos, it's normally where you hear just the white noise, and then they kind of give you the blurb in the middle of the screen trying to convince you of the same thing, which you guys should already know that because you watched a lot of those things. So we're going to be doing that in real time. Only the other method that you can use with these is you can slow the radio sweeps down, allowing the radio chatter to actually pop through. None of you are trained to be listening to white noise for 2 hours at a time, plus all of the history I'm going to give you, somebody's going to fall asleep. So it's a guarantee. So the radio chatter actually helps keep you awake, for one. Second, if we can make out what that radio chatter is saying, meaning song lyrics, DJs, commercials, it's a 50-50 shot that gets tied to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of us. We never know what's actually going to pop up out of this guy. So the person that's going to be using this is going to be wearing an earbud. They're going to be the only one to hear it in real time. It is recording the entire session with no outside noise. So, Roo, I normally have you guys show up early so I know where my chatterbox is, but you seem very outgoing, so I'm hoping you're gonna be able to chatter back to me of what you're actually hearing.
All right, well,
I don't want your earbuds back. Your earwax is your own personal secret here because it's gross and I don't want it. Cool. So the only thing you need to worry about is the volume button. It is right here. It's a wheel at the very top. All right. So I have it turned all the way down so it doesn't shock you when you put your earbud in. Most people work with just one. Okay. So you have that idea.
I
Yeah.
feel like that would drive me inside in the right place.
I have 2 of these, so Olivia, you're getting the second.
Okay.
This one is not going to record, so I'm going to be relying on you, what you hear in real time, and I'll be writing down the things that don't record that I'm going to give it back to you, because I am going to give you a bunch of notes of things that were done or caught in real time. So again, your volume button is the wheel right here where my finger is. Okay. I'll turn it all the way down. Keep your earbuds. Your wax is gross. I think we all agree. Yep. Not the last spirit box, but the next spirit box. Yes, I have several different styles of spirit boxes. 5 different, easily use 6 when I have my full groups. This one's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen. So this would be like an ovulus on what you guys see on your TV shows. An ovulus only has 2,048 terms in it. This has 9,168. So 80% of what comes out of this thing is going to be garbage. It's meant to try to actually try to scare us, and it's kind of a hoax kind of thing. It's going to save all of those words to a list. And last night's terms, we had 83 terms come up. That's about average. So 5 to 20% of this is actually going to be relevant to the space that we're going to. So it also has timestamps on it. So in the event something actually pops up relevant, then we'll be able to know where to watch the video, where to listen to the spirit box audio to see if something else is going to tie to it. I'm going to clear out the history and start us off fresh. That one's going to go to you. I don't want to see every word that pops up. Again, we'll be out here till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll come to you when I want to see the list and show you how to get to it.
Okay. So I don't need to do anything, just watch if words pop up.
Pretty much it.
Okay. That's nice and easy.
It's a nice and easy one.
Yeah. They'll pop up in the...
And I am supposed to be recording all this, right?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's a square, you're good to go. Don't pay any attention to the timer.
Okay.
So, Clayton.
Yep.
This is the newest spirit box that I have. It's very interesting indeed, and it is about 75% accurate. However, you'll probably only hear about 10 to 12 words come out of this thing through the entire time together. Again, it's about 7 or 8 terms of those, maybe 9, are going to actually be accurate to our space. It's going to sweep through the FM and the AM radio stations at the same time. And hopefully only give us words from time to time, because it's trying to eliminate the white noise that Olivia and Rue are listening to right now, which is... It's going to try to get rid of that and only give you words. So the only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it upright, which is blinking lights at the top. On the right-hand side, there's a mute button. I'm going to mute it right now just so I'm not distracted and I can kind of get us through the rest of these devices. I'll let you know when we're safe to unmute.
Sounds good.
And last but not least, Kayla, you are my multitasker.
Enter correctly.
Wait, I have to explain everything. Can't just say, gimme, let's go.
I'll figure it out.
Well, you guys have probably seen the EMF detectors, the little blinky lights that they use on television, right?
Yeah.
So this one is a lot more accurate. This is a digital one. It's called a millimeter. So anything above 2.5 on your numbers there, I want to know what's going on, only because that's the second green dot on the blinky one. So 2.5 will still debunk and kind of see what's going on. The bottom number, which is pretty small at the bottom, is an ambient temperature. Jeff finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly, or we can, prove it pretty quickly based on the yellow probe at the top. The last thing that it has a REM pod built into it. What does that mean? It's a motion sensor. In the event something gets close to the antenna, which I'm not touching right now, it will go off. The closer it gets, the higher the pitch, and we do get different colors out of it. Notice I'm pointing it down because it's super bright. I'm going to show you more about that at our next location. For now, focus on the red numbers. That way Rue knows where to stop and actually ask questions. All right, everybody's geared up. Go have fun. Let me know what happens. No, I'm kidding. Don't go anywhere. Jeff's like, seriously? You just set us free?
For sure. We got follow you.
Yeah, we're wandering around.
Yeah, just go wander around, see what happens.
We'll be back here in 2 hours.
Right?
I would pay money just for out of this.
Just
I'm
a
not
red
gonna
day
lie.
equipment. So let's talk about why we started here. So, I know you guys are going to have questions, so I'm going to say, I know you have the word sweet on your favor. Anything else pop up before that? Okay. I heard you giggling already. Did you hear one of your favorite people that you love to listen to or something? Or did you hear something funny?
I think I just was laughing and I said something to him.
Oh. Normally people would hear like, oh, I want to stop it on this song, but no, it's going to keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, I haven't really turned it up yet.
Okay. Yeah,
It's up now.
Get used to it. We started Big John's for a reason. Of course, the place is haunted. So, let's get into why. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Gee, I wonder why they named it the way they did. He owned the place. He used to sit in the back of the bar. Oh, let me guess tell you who he is. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. And when he sat in the back of the bar, he would let the bartender know if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. Here's the bartender, throw them out. And they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer. He gets up and just starts beating the heck out of these guys, pounding them right to the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him. He gets up after being shot. He goes back to the bar and he tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in ambulance. And normally when I tell you a building is haunted, you think that somebody died there. Well, nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if the new renovation of Big John's filled in that bullet hole, Big John's blood is inside this building. People that sit in the front get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. If anybody starts to feel any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately, because none of you are used to dealing with paranormal activity all the time, and fingers crossed that's what we're going to be dealing with tonight. So, with that said, I won't say that people haven't passed out on this tour, and at the last stop, I will tell you something that's actually relevant to the specific story of where we are located, and it'll make a whole lot of sense why I give this heated warning at the very beginning. So, is that fair to everybody?
Yep.
I know Olivia's either giggling that, like, yeah, this is all BS, or she heard something really, really funny.
Or she's nervous.
Probably nerves.
What do you?
I don't
Okay.
know.
So let's get our mind off of our own health, because that's literally the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that from another tour that you took, because we all talk about it, so now you do. Same building. This is where the first death occurred from that earthquake, allegedly. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building broke off in the front of the building and hit somebody in the back of the head. They say it killed him, and you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, I don't have any proof for that story. That's why I say allegedly along with that. The whole point of it is so that nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour while we're out investigating. Is that fair, even though I brought it up again? So, I know it's supposed to be funny, haha. So, we are going to keep this very lighthearted tonight because some people do get very nervous, which is perfectly fine and very acceptable. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, let's do it. We're going to go this way. I know I'm taking you to a weird spot.
Ooh. Am I supposed to film from behind?
No, I think you're.
Looking down at your body. I need to tell you something. What? Hey, we're with you. It's the lady box. Very direct, very matter of fact.
Put on the listing of this on all of the different platforms, 90 to 120 minutes. Because if I only have 2 people, it's only about 90 minutes based on how much activity there is. And I won't pay attention to time on that. So if we actually have a lot going on, obviously we'll stay in the space longer. But if something is pretty light, I will move us on pretty quickly. Just kind of based on what you guys are telling me. Understood. So, welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. They can't hear us, which is why we use earbuds on our spirit boxes now. The horses do not like the white noise, and they will kick that metal wall, scaring the hell out of all of us. So, yeah, that's why we use those now. We don't spend a whole lot of time here, just because this is a space where I get to show my groups how to use their devices a little bit more in depth. So, the history here is really simple. This is where we kept horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's it, 1860s and 1920s. Every time I tell you the history of a location, I will always do my best to slow down on specific keywords that I commonly hear from the spirit boxes. We have 4 in play tonight, right? Yeah, so 4 in play. So again, most of you are using a spirit box of some sort. So over there, it would have been 47, New York, Giants, anything relatable to a bar, football, or the name John. Over here, it's going to be delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So, spirit boxes, this is not television, this is not a Ouija board, this is not, is somebody here? Because everybody wants to ask the same question when they get a spirit box. If somebody says no to Olivia, that means somebody's here. So, with that said, we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. I will give you impromptu questions as we kind of go through these spaces. You can use them because they are definite non-yes or no questions. But if you go rogue and decide to use your own, just make sure you stay away from yes or no questions. Pretty simple, right? It's harder than you think. Just wait. So, in a space like this, I would normally say you can ask questions that you already know the answers to get used to your spirit boxes. Like, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. So obviously we're looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Amy is not listening, she's watching. So keep in mind that the other 3 spirit boxes are using radio songs and DJs to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to them to answer us specifically, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. However, most of the night I'm going to require that there are 2 pieces of something going on, even if it's from the same device, to be able to verify what's going on. For an example, let's say Amy's word list has the word art on it. It doesn't mean anything in this location by itself. But Clayton hears the number 40 on his. That doesn't mean anything by itself either. If you put the 2 together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You see how we're going to be putting clues together through the entire night? Throughout the evening, I will withhold information purposely, so that way everybody here has a genuine experience, and that way I can actually prove to you tomorrow morning through links of why you're hearing the things that you're hearing. So, I think the only thing I want to cover here is the camera. You're going to try to do 2 things for us, Jeff. You're going to try to keep one of us in view. The reason being is we're going to be the warmest thing out here. We have a beautiful temperature of about 76 to 77 degrees, I'm guessing, in the center of your screen. Then we're going to be 97. That's going to give us an array of color on your screen and much easier to find those cold spots. The second thing you're going to try to do, which will be near impossible in some locations, is to try to keep the sky out of the view. The reason for that is that blue dot will default to the empty sky because it's looking for a surface. There's no surface on the sky unless it's the moon or an airplane. So again, do your best, but again, nice and horizontal, nice slow movements, you'll be fine. Like you've already got that steady hand, I can see it. So I've had some really bad videos in the past. I love to give that to little kids just to see what they're going to do with it. So what's funny is they capture the best evidence. They really do. One of the best pieces I have came from an 8-year-old little girl. It's like, yeah, craziness. And it came from this space. So the only thing I did not cover is Kayla's device, which I'm going to show you more about that. Ooh, I don't know who Murphy is, but I'm going to find out. I like when I have names on there. Names and numbers usually don't lie. Is everybody ready to go ghost hunting
The
tonight?
second you said that names don't lie, I just heard wow really loudly.
And we'll get like those real-time reaction type stuff, but unless we can actually prove it, yeah, I won't be writing it down. So, Kayla, I'm going to show you more about yours after I give the history of the next space. I feel like this team is very anxious to like deep dive into much deeper history than football players and ponies. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right, yeah, let's go deep dive. Let's do this.
Let's deep dive. Let's deep dive.
I got Murphy. I don't know.
You got Murphy?
You guys know Murphy? I don't know.
Last night. I don't know Murphy. Not this.
Dropkick Murphy? You guys consented to being filmed.
Technically, we did.
Thank y'all for the warning. I'm crippled, so like I trip over things easily.
It is a perfect day.
Good job, Dad. You're doing a fantastic job, man.
Am I?
Yeah. You'd be a great vlogger. Get around on yourself and start vlogging.
This is the haunted dumpster.
So whenever you want to look at the list, there's a little white box next to the word. You want to the right? Yep, you hit the one on the right.
Okay.
And I'll say at times like, hey, what were the last couple of terms we had? And you'll be able to scroll through them and all that. The words at the top were our latest. So just so you know how that works. And then, yep, you're at the circle back to get back to the main screen, and it'll continue working. All right, so welcome to a beautiful space in Charleston. You're in a parking lot. Very, very exciting stuff. So, Olivia's like, really? This is where you bring me? This is where I'm supposed to be scared in the parking lot? So, this
The
place used to
dumpster.
be something, but I'm going to tell the 4 spirit boxes I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, just so you all know. Like what we did over there at the Red Barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes. You must be really nervous.
She is nervous.
I just like don't know what I'm gonna hear. I'm just waiting.
We'll find out. So this space actually used to be something. It used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. Sat in the front of this space. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant. Now that they've moved, let's get away from this smell of garbage. How about that? It only took us that far down because there was a car park right here. So Eliza's garden lined up with the Five Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home, just so everybody knows what the layout of the land is. So Jeff, again, there are a couple of cars in here, so again, I'll do like a Andy's coming or Acts Casual if somebody's cutting through the lot. But who the heck were these people, Eliza and Charles? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. We never cut this stuff up. So 3 different Charleses. That's why we use the secondary clues. We need to know who the heck we're talking to. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. Just so everybody knows, it's a pretty big deal for us here in South Carolina. However, I hate politics more than everybody here. This is what I was talking about, where I don't want to see every word. I'm going to get interrupted, so we're going to be here till 4 in the morning.
But it's fun.
It is fun. I know how it works.
Fun.
I'm here to teach you how
He
it
says
works.
it's fun. Okay. All right, sorry.
No, you're good. And I will poke fun all night,
It's
so
all right.
nobody take that
It's all right.
anything direct.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay.
But this is what I wait for. This is the people that, you know, like, oh wow, this actually thing is going through some
Picking
stuff.
some stuff up. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. All right. So
Where was I?
lots
Son
of
and,
food.
yeah, son
Sons.
and nephew, signers of the Constitution. I hate politics, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So let's go down to Eliza. She's one more funny. You're gonna be a fun one to work with tonight. I can see that already.
stuff.
Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be like 12 and 14 like the colonial times. It will be according to today's standards. The reason I bring that up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. So it was an uncanny, anomalous number back then, and even an anomalous number for us now. It's a pretty big age gap between the two of them. But anyway, she married him because her father, over in England, thought he was dying. He was trying to bring all of his kids home. He just wanted to see all of his kids one last time before he died. She didn't think he was dying, so she got married. This is 1744, so it's not like she married Charles for citizenship or a green card, or not even a country. So she did marry him out of love, and yes, she did remain a widow after Charles died. So remember, he's double her age at the time of marriage. He went first. That's just how things went. So with that, father didn't die right away. She was right. She's already married. He starts sending her gifts from England to this space. Now, you guys have been in Charleston for at least an hour that I know of. You've probably seen the word indigo somewhere. This is pretty much where it started. So one of the gifts that he sent her were the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye, that makes our blue jeans blue. And none of us are wearing it tonight. Super awesome. I normally have one example. So, but that's how we use it today. But she didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them, so she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot down here. So once she figured it out, she moves it to a plantation up in Mount Pleasant, calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Send me some list of names of where to send it. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So something absolutely unheard of, by the way. So that's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's pretty much why everybody's here. So Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back, 5 months apart, to make it even worse. The first wife, Eliza, dies in January, and in May of the same year, he marries the Eliza who plants the indigo. So it's either a really smart move or really stupid, depending on how you look at it, I guess. But anyway, ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. I'm not going to tell you anything further than that. If you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask the maiden name. The mansion's not here anymore. You can obviously ask what happened to it. And if we get an answer, you can ask what year that happened. Notice none of these questions are yes and no questions. They're very, very specific. The children. I told you there was at least one. His name was Charles. There's more. You can ask how many total and what their names are. That's it. Here's why. There's a tragedy among those kids, and if Olivia pokes the bear, all activity will stop. Now, have we gotten any readings on your red screen? Okay. Normally we would have had something. Just so you know. But
It's probably me.
But at any rate, all activity will stop if we poke that bear too much. And I can pretty much tell based on what you guys are telling me, there'll be unwelcoming phrases, just put it that way. So don't poke the bear. Ask names and how many. As far as Eliza's death, that's where she's pretty much open. You can ask her how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Like, if that doesn't tell you how important she is, I don't know what else to show you or to tell you. So
We heard that
very
today.
specific. Did you guys learn about the Pinkies earlier?
Uh-huh.
So you're gonna already
Well,
know
no,
some of these
no,
answers.
I wasn't. I remember him saying who was asked to be a pallbearer at the funeral.
Interesting.
But he didn't say how she died.
Okay.
Probably said the year, but it probably went right over my head.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of years today.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And, but what happened to the house?
You guys are gonna find out.
Yeah?
I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay.
So, we are going to spread out in this space. I have to work with Kayla with her device first to show her
Okay.
how that motion sensor works.
Okay.
So again, try not to be the YouTuber. When people are passing by, they don't like their cars to be filmed. Only because if I was a car thief, that would be my first tool. I'll be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I know how long these cars have been sitting here based on their heat signature. So they don't know what we're doing out here. All they know is somebody's filming their car. So just kind of keep that in mind. But everybody else, let's spread out and let's turn those spirit boxes up. Clayton, go ahead and definitely unmute. Yeah, get that thing cranking. Let me know what you guys hear. I'll be bouncing around with all of you here in just a minute. I'll be okay. Yeah, go listen in. Go see what you can find. All right, so as far as your device, you've seen no reading show up on the...
I saw it did. It's been like a little bit into a fix that. It was brief for a second. It was probably. I got a notification about that.
can stay near me if you want.
Hmm?
You can stay near me if you want. I feel weird when you're recording me. Great.
Nothing spooky over there, Roo?
Nope, nope.
Besides what? What am I standing beside? Am I standing near the front door? Taste. Eliza must not have had very good taste. What happened to the house? I want to know what happened to it. How many children were there?
Ask it something? Want to ask it something?
No.
Why?
I'm scared.
Just ask how she died. Ask Liza how she died. Okay.
Alright. How's your word list coming? Anything crazy coming along?
Well, I asked her if it was growing.
So again, this device has 9100 terms in it. It's going to generate stuff randomly. But again, if we have Olivia nerves and it's something else that might be able to tie into her, then we might actually have something going on with somebody sensing how nervous she is. You see where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
So again, I do see her name often, but I never have a tie because I look at every single name, every single number. I see if there's a tie in there somewhere where it's like, okay, we have, Charles 24. Okay, well, I know Charles got married.
I'm not getting anything. I got one thing, but that's it.
Are you asking questions?
I have, yeah. I did. I asked. I paused it, but I asked. I asked Liza how many children she had, and I heard like an E sound come out of it. I don't know.
Have I seen anything? No, not really.
Same thing, Chinese area. It makes noises. It's claiming, you see all these numbers moving around? It's claiming that it's going through the radio stations the same way all the other spirit boxes are, and just picking out what it can actually hear, and then deriving that into a word format that we can read. So that we can this thing growls. Drop it like it's hot. I want to know that you heard buy it here today. hot.
Okay.
Because the word by might mean something, drop might mean something, hot might mean something. You see where I'm going with this? So again, it's about no matter how silly you think it is, if it's a songmaker or DJ and you can make them out, I want to know what they say.
I heard the word quarterback.
Big John.
You make sure there's no evil spirits following any of you.
I'm going to see if there's something else that pops up with that 50 plus 2, maybe his name, maybe the city he actually moved to, something along those lines. So again, it's about putting all the clues together. See, you're hearing things, you just don't know what you're listening for. That's the point. I don't want you to know what you're listening for. Just tell me what you hear and I'll put it together. That's why you guys keep me around.
Okay.
So, exactly. You're still going to be able to go through it. Now, the video camera, I don't normally follow up with like I do with the spirit boxes because that's more of a review type thing for the morning.
Yeah.
I can't add anything to it. Obviously, it's a very specific video.
Mhm.
But in the event you do find something in real time, it's going to be amazing. So we'll kind of see what happens. Every piece of evidence I've ever caught from that was not found in real time. It was a matter of me reviewing the media the next
See
day.
it next day. Yeah, later.
It's all about the next day. Because I upload it to YouTube, I just splice them all together, and that way you guys can watch it however you want.
Yeah, because I'm just kind of walking around like this.
Yeah, nice
but
and
I'm
slow.
watching the larger picture and trying
Yep.
to bring everybody into it.
Yep. As long as you
I'm
keep
not really
somebody in it.
studying what's coming over in real time, so.
It's fun to watch, I'm telling you. When you start going through it and you're like, holy cow, that looks way different from when we were actually there. It's like, yeah, because they're heat signatures. Yeah. But it is super fun to watch. And I only spot check these videos and medias. So again, for every 5 minutes that you're recording, I only watch or listen to 1 minute worth.
Oh.
Whatever I find is what I find. So have you heard anything out of yours?
I asked like how many children she had, and I heard like an E come out of the
So we have her
thing.
initial.
directly. Yeah, either E or it's like could be the back end of like 3 years or something like that. Or you say possibly 3 siblings or something like that.
That's wrong, but I like E better because I had Eliza's initials show up here.
Oh, okay.
So, believe it or not, it's about what you actually heard, not about what part of the word you can hear. Because if she heard quarterback and she only heard back, she doesn't know that the quarterback was on the front of that.
And they gave me a Bluebell commercial, so that's something.
Good to hear.
I asked what color the crop was, and she got blue.
I was gonna think that is what it was. But
Perfect.
It's really hard to do this and keep the sky out of the
It
picture.
was a little fuzzy, so I'm not positive, but I think I did, yes. Yeah. Yes. I have no idea. It is. Okay.
Uh-oh. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Any readings other than
I got like a 15 over near the 32 sign, but
15 is still significant. I'll read it. That's a good one.
Don't mess with that.
How's your work? Anything before that? No, it's nice.
They're in my hand.
Yeah, the kids keep handing you your glasses, so I imagine you have to have them on.
But if I walk with them, then I fall over.
Not really. Like I said, you're only going to hear 10 to 12 things out of that whole night. You just never know when they're going to actually pop up. The fact that you heard something out of it already, even though it's just one letter, like I'm good with that. You're listening to it, you're getting the gist of how to listen to it. Tom. Yes. What were you asking?
I wanted to know what the names of the birds were.
Thomas is one of them.
All right. So somebody's listening. That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
But you
We don't normally get the shortened version of it. But
I get Tom.
What?
What are the kids doing?
Very interesting.
Yeah, usually I just hear like guitar playing, it's like standing.
Yeah. So, just to kind of give you an idea of like how precise that has been, the last thing we talked about are pirates, Grinch roasting. And we were wrapping things up, and it was funny because these two devices were right next to each other. This one doesn't record. We all, as I was grabbing my tablet to show everybody the pirates and that kind of thing, the word pirate came through loud and clear, and we all stopped like, are you kidding me? Like, did we just hear the word pirate come out of there? I'm like, well, we are standing right next to the thermal imaging camera. We'll find out on the audio, clear as day. First off, who the hell says the word pirate on the radio? It had to have been disembodied. Had to have been. So, yeah, it definitely wasn't radio jet. There's no way. And I have no way to analyze it from that device. I would on the one that Olivia's using, but not yours.
Yeah, it's just like one of the chances.
Yeah, exactly. What are the chances of us hearing the word pirate as clear as we did?
Will you go near the water?
Oh, no, you'll see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of the big finale, I guess. I'm not a pirate person, but you'll see I was forced into learning about pirates because of what we're doing out here. All right, I'm going to do one more quick round robin, then I'll pull us all back to the answers.
She's over there.
She's got going on. Olivia, have you heard anything? Let's all come to the back, everybody, so that way I can give you guys some answers. We have a lot of cool things.
I actually forgot about one thing that I didn't hear. I was walking around here earlier. I was about to ask a question. I just heard very passionate about.
What was the question you were about to ask?
I was going to ask about how many kids.
Okay. All right, so Jeff, you can kill your videos and hit that red square. Kind of.
All right. Let's dig in fast here.
What? What one?
Something's ironic. Better change my shoes.
Any names pop up on your list?
No.
Rogers went through for me at one point, but that's all.
What was it?
Rogers.
Rogers. Olivia, anything on yours?
No.
Anything other than names?
What?
Anything other than names? So, I don't know that Rogers is going to be legit, but I'll find out for sure. So, that basically, let me explain why we're here. Where we crossed that last crosswalk, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So, Charleston used to be called Charlestown. It was a walled city. This is one of the first streets we ever had. So, people used to live here, which is why I asked y'all for names. So, the interesting thing is the reason why these names keep popping up over and over and over again. The names that commonly hear on our way in here is Benjamin and John. Now, you would think that those are very common names, but I do have the full list of residents of... Why are you guys laughing? Like, I see two.
We were just talking about
Oh.
We were just talking about something that didn't
Very
pop up.
interesting.
Yeah.
But you guys both just looked at each other like, holy cow. So that was kind of a, I gotta ask, like, what's going on? That's how the guy keeping that stuff on the cup. So, Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. Now, if we're ever confused as to which John it is, because yes, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here in a 60-year time span. He'll give us his last name, Johnson. Yes, his name is John Johnson. He chuckles all the time. So, do I have anything significant about Benjamin and John other than the fact that they both lived here at the same time? No. Do I have anything specific about the year? No. But I do have a great theory on why this keeps occurring. Every 6 to 7 weeks, I get the same names over and over and over again. I can't even pinpoint it to which day of the week it's going to be or how far apart they're going to be. But here's my theory on what's actually going on. How you doing, boss? So, you're standing on Belgian blocks. The interesting thing about Belgian blocks is that they teach that these are actually made straight from granite. However, granite comes from straight from the earth, just like limestone, which is also said to stir up any kind of paranormal activity. But granite is not supposed to hold an electrical charge. Kayla, do me a favor. I want you to set your device on the ground and tell us if you get a reading out of it right away.
It came up to a 2, 3.
Let me know how high it goes. Keep an eye on it for a moment as I keep talking. So, we tested this here last night only because I'm studying this alley for the next podcast episode based on this theory. So, the stone tape theory states that anything that comes from the earth can basically hang on to the consciousness of memories. So, it's basically like we're watching a movie on loop, waiting for Benjamin and John's names to pop up. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up in that same loop, and that name is Jane. Jane also lived here in 1801. Now, you're thinking, Nick, that list is probably very lengthy. It's 5 people. We have 3 out of the 5 names that keep showing up here time and time again. There's no other explanation for it other than the bricks that you're standing on. I'm going to call BS on the fact that these are made straight of granite because it's not supposed to hold any electrical charge. And anything above a 1.1 is going to be anything that is not just straight from the earth. So obviously, what's it up to now, Kayla?
8 was the highest it went. It popped back down to 7.
That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We tested this here last night for the first time where I had somebody set the device on the ground. We got up to an 11.7.
Wow.
So that's really high for this location. So just kind of crazy stuff. What I just told you, where the stones are actually hanging on to the consciousness of memories, that is basically called the stone tape theory. So it's been studied for the past, I don't know, say 100, 120 years. And there's been no actual literal proof of it, but we're talking paranormal. Where is there actual proof of anything that we can say this is exactly what happened? We never can. But the fact that I'm going to be doing this pretty much on a nightly basis now to see how high we can get it to go, that's pretty interesting. Now, probably wondering, and I didn't explain back at the Pinckney Mansion site, what those readings actually mean. So go ahead and pick up your device, so that way we don't forget it or kick it across the
Yeah, that'd be...
then you'll hit Olivia, and she probably would appreciate that anyway. So, those readings, so around your house, they test that thing all the time. Behind your television, you have a bunch of wires, correct? So behind your TV is going to be about 40 to 60 milligauss. And that's what your TV turned on, maybe a Blu-ray player or something along those lines. Your microwave running on high with the door shut and you're standing next to it, it's about 150 to 170 milligauss. It's pretty dangerous levels. The Pinckney Mansion site has given me the highest reading I've ever seen on that device, 214. That was about 2.5 months ago. Those are dangerous, dangerous levels. Like, I had to step away. I have epilepsy. Like, I have to be very careful when it comes to EMF. So, especially when it gets up that high. Usually about 150 is when I'm like, I hand it off to somebody else and they say, you need to take over because I got to get out of here. So, just kind of keep that in mind. The fact that we got an 11 here last night and there's nothing underneath us to make this thing go off, obviously we're standing on some bricks. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, which is why it's called Lodge Alley. So, kind of keep that in mind. We do get terms out there on the Freemasons from time to time. Obviously, Freemason, Mason, brick, and we actually got the word symbols last week, which I thought was very interesting because it showed up on your word list, Amy, the minute I said Freemasons. So Freemasons are obviously known for their symbolism, but we've also gotten the term Illuminati that shows up on the spirit boxes that when they're listening to.
Rapture. No rapture.
Get rapture?
As far as Illuminati,
Alrighty then.
I know, right? It's kind of distant.
Hold on.
Illuminati, I have to question it only because it's been heard so many times, 6 times last year alone, and so far twice this year. Who the heck is saying the word Illuminati on the radio? That's my first question. Second, why am I only hearing it in this space, in the time frame that we're here? So again, take that for what it's worth. The next space we're going to go to, and I do linger here for just a few minutes so that way we can see what's going to be happening with your spirit boxes. I don't expect the words Benjamin and John to come up tonight because we're in week 1 to 2 of the loop. Just so you guys know. So if you would have heard it, I would have been like, okay, we've got a new anomaly going on. But I do wait to see what you guys hear. The next space is another alley. I can't take you through it, like what we're doing now. Here's why. I've been kicked out. So, yeah, I still tell the story of that space, but it is considered residential at the end. I will tell you how I got kicked out of that place once we go see it. But you're going to see other tours going down there, and it's not fair for my 10 people to try to explore a space this size with 20 to 60 other people down there. It's not fair to us, and it's not fair to them either, because we need to move around a little bit. However, by me rehashing the story night after night after night, we're probably going to get more than one piece of evidence from that location through the rest of our time together throughout the rest of the night, because we stay relatively close to that area through the rest of our time together. So, again, this is kind of a ghost hunting crash course. So, again, you're getting a little bit of everything. What do you have now?
You are guilty.
Oh,
Wow.
I might be. I was guilty that night.
What'd you?
I was in the wrong space. That's exactly what it is. So,
It's weird that it came up with 3 different words.
That's the first time I've seen
I heard me and my friend.
me and my friend, and you are guilty. Ooh, me and my friend is actually guilty. I like that. It'll make
I
sense.
heard it while you were talking. I was
It's
just
okay. How long ago?
like a couple minutes ago.
Me and my friend.
That's cool.
It was like just after you had started talking about, just after you had stopped talking about Jade.
Okay. Cool. Have you heard anything on yours, Ruth?
No.
Okay. All right. So as we exit this alley, we're cutting through a neighborhood to get to that next one. So you're going to cut your video once we get to the exit, and then Clayton, you're going to obviously cut yours off. I mean, you can turn it back on as we're moving. Just get a few minutes out of it. But once we exit, turn it off because we're going to be in residential neighborhoods to get to the next space. Everybody else continue listening. Sorry, Kayla, you're still kind of on watch. So she's like, yeah, I'm good. You can actually take Rue's other earbud and see what you guys can actually listen to together. How about that? Get the hang of this. It's not scary stuff. It's all about history.
Good help fast. What'd you get?
I heard like no I'm.
Something's buzzing.
Get puddles in the center, babe.
Yeah.
What? What? This is where you want the video off?
Yes.
Video off, right?
Standing next to
I was just like,
Standing next to me.
yeah, standing next to her, yeah.
I asked that because his is recording audio. So maybe we caught it on the audio. Okay, like that.
Maybe. Still recording?
No.
There
You
you are.
just turned it off.
I just turned it off when we walked out of the alley there. Right? Isn't that what I was supposed to do?
Let me see it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's on square right now.
Yeah, hit the square. Anything that you guys heard along the way, any words pop up before I get started?
All together.
We're all together. That's kind of good. Anything on your end?
No.
Nothing.
Valley fast. After you are guilty, fast and
Okay. All right, so this space behind me is called Philadelphia Alley. It's actually a little darker over here tonight, which is kind of look like that all the time. It's gorgeous. So, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, we all tell the story of one specific duel, and again, we'll probably see some other tours if there's anybody working tonight to actually go down there. So, here's how the story goes. I'm going to obviously tell you the story a little bit differently just because we're ghost hunting. You need more specific clues based on what you're actually doing versus just a campfire story. Is that fair? So, a doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks the doctor's just after her money. He tells her, get rid of the doctor. So to prove that he's not after her money, he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a moment because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. We learned earlier that initials actually mean something. We did hear the letter E come out of the SV-11 earlier, and obviously we are near the Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So R.I. shows up here a lot, but I just told you the two main characters. I need to know if it belongs to Ralph or the doctor from Rhode Island. So, back to Ralph. He says, dude, there's a gunman inside. You don't want to stay here. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. But I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there. You'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer. The two become friends. But the doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now. He's proving his point. Amanda's moving down soon. This doctor becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time because he's a pretty happy guy. I want you to kind of think to every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future, they all have a cliched whistling ghost. I'm going to guarantee it right now. Ours just happens to be a doctor, and it actually works here, and I'll explain further in just a moment. The doctor and Ralph go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's just the way the hierarchy worked back then. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and they're discussing the new actress that was here. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets pretty heated, and they go their separate ways. Now, Ralph is from here, so he has friends at the newspaper. He talks to them and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this ad, but rebuttals with, let's go to Dole's Alley, meaning somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to shoot his friend. He just wanted to prove the point that he had the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Which is often what happened during a duel, by the way. Ralph, however, has his one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap. Sorry, Kayla, you just have to be in front of me. Hurt. We're going to find out how he was hurt. So,
I heard shot while you were telling the story. So
Sounds good. Wait, there's more. So, the doctor didn't die either. He drops to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later, after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself, trying to be the tough guy. So they say the ghost campfire story of this is that as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. If you're going to do that on your own, and turn on your voice recorders, I want you to keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle right down the alley. I do it every single night after I'm done with you guys. We're going to end right there. My garage is above the Scotchman that we were all just making fun of without gas. So I have to pass the alley every single night. If my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. But you can obviously see I can throw a whistle while I'm talking. She loses every single time she's here. So they also say you can hear cannonballs while you're down there, so the shots from the duels. I don't have any proof of that, but when I used to take my tours down there, I do have some whistles I can't debunk, and they're very faint and in the background. It's very quiet down there, so it is a very interesting space. So let's talk about why I got booted out, because that's the fun part that everybody wants to hear about. This alley didn't come all the way through to the Cumberland Street side, so it was cut off. That means the bricks on the other side are older. I would always show off that the bricks at the other side were sun-dried bricks from slave children. Why? Because there's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley. And I would always tell my folks, if you want to take a picture, be quick, do it while you're moving, we got to keep rolling. So again, new guy on the block in the tourism industry, not really sure where I'm allowed to go yet. So one night everybody wanted to put an EMF or a spirit box near it, and they're all huddled around this brick. And I treat those bricks the same way I do a grave. Those people, next day they're not staring at the brick in the afterlife. I can guarantee you that. So there's no point really us staring at it, hoping something's going to happen. It was outside a gentleman's dining room window on the night of November 26th of 2020. He come out screaming. He was not a very happy fella, and he was in the right. I was in the wrong area. So my daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. The next night, I did not have a tour because it was Thanksgiving. November 28th, I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway like every other tour or reroute my tour. They obviously received a complaint. I decide I'm going to reroute my tour. Just based on what I told you earlier, it gets too crowded through half of it. So I reroute my tour and I tell my team we're going to wing it and see what happens. I don't like pirates. I don't believe this pirate story, but I'm going to tell you what I know and we're going to see what goes on. Before I even told the group what pirate we were going to be discussing, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be discussing Anne Bonny, the female pirate. We get to this location and somebody else hears the number 300. I don't know what the number 300 means while we're there, but we were there. Then when I researched it the next day, I figured out that November 28th, 2020 was the exact 300-year anniversary of Anne Bonny's trial on November 28th of 1720. That's why I keep taking you guys back there every single night. I've read more books since November 28th of 2020 on piracy than I care to remember. However, I am not a pirate person by any way, shape, or form. It is a hit or miss location. We are going to have a lot of evidence come out of that location or nothing at all. It's usually the way it goes over there. Usually, just so you know, Clayton, your device has been kind of like the tell-all. If you're hearing things while we're there, that means there's something else going on with other pieces. So that kind of gives me the clue of like what's actually going on. Okay. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to actually walk up to St. Philip's Church and Cemetery. You guys are going to tell me what's going on with your devices. If you hear, there's like 15 stories on that corner. If you guys don't hear anything relevant to any of those 15 stories, I'll kind of go to my normal go-to and get us prepped for that big investigation at the end. And we'll kind of get right into it. But yeah, definitely listen in on your spirit boxes. But you heard shot and what else?
She heard whistling at one point, but through this, not
songs will give us whistling songs. So I've heard Guns N' Roses' Patience, I've heard Maroon 5's Move Like Jagger, that kind of thing. But you did hear the word shot.
Yes.
Olivia, have you heard anything?
No.
Nothing.
She's probably not even paying
I
attention.
have heard. I had the name Devin. No.
Really, like modern names, Bryson, Devin, like people not like 17, 1800 type names.
I know.
It's really weird.
I'm just throwing them out there.
I know.
Could be
Doesn't
a
mean that
last
they
name.
could be.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they don't mean anything. I just don't know what it
Then
means.
things get weird because Tiffany was technically an Elizabethan name because of some
Yeah.
nicknamings, but if you put that in a historical novel, everyone's gonna laugh at you. Go ahead, start. Oh, it's okay.
I got hurt.
Come on, stop.
Okay.
Am I getting overwhelmed? I'm sorry. I can't gather over.
We still recording?
You can if you want.
Your arm getting tired, honey?
No.
It's like dancing.
It's just as easy to record as it is not to record.
I'll tell you the last word I had was weed.
Last word you had was weed?
Totally, yeah.
Excellent.
Right there, yeah.
There's gonna be like something creepy in the background. It's a little rat. Is he taking us to the haunted parking garage?
No, we're going to the church. We're
Oh,
past
yeah.
like 25 times today.
Now you know all about that church.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I feel like we've circumnavigated this church a half a dozen times today.
As a 3-1.
Stop us here before we get into this further. What I like to point out here is that over this courtyard is the wall to Philadelphia Alley that we are just discussing. There's a gateway in the middle of it, if you notice that. That was basically for the loser of the duels. So in the event that there was a loser, the dead guy, there's a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me. So instead of carrying the body all the way down to go to Queen Street and back down around, they made themselves a shortcut. So not everybody knows why that gate is there. So yeah, go ahead and have a seat. You want to show her for just a minute? Tell me what you guys are hearing, what you're seeing.
I heard he saw everything while we were crossing the crosswalk.
Okay.
I have the word oak. Under an oak.
What do you have?
Oak.
No, you're gonna leave that off for just a few more minutes. Olivia, anything on ears?
No.
Is the volume up?
Yeah, it's up.
It's not an easy job.
I know, I'm sure.
Spirits avoid you.
Well, the one that Rue's using, like it's recording, so maybe I should have had them reversed. So it's okay. It's
I
all
do
right.
have ADD, so I'm really good at being able to pick them out.
It's okay. Again, that is probably one of the hardest jobs out here. So I'm going to go straight to the go-to story since you guys aren't giving me anything specific. So every tour stops up at the cemetery. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, if you've taken any other ghost tour in town yet, but well, that's right, you guys have never taken ghost tours, none of you.
Oh.
So, but every tour stops up there. I normally just let them have it, especially on the busier nights, just so you guys know I stop us here. But we'll go up there tonight if there's still nobody there before we want to go across the street. But this is St. Philip Cemetery, as you guys already mentioned. You've passed it several times. There's two different sides to the cemetery. There's the eastern side and the western side. If you're from Charleston and you belong to the church, you can actually get buried on this side of the cemetery. So this is for your definitive locals, your natives. So Charles Pinckney, the husband, Charles Pinckney, the nephew, they're both buried on this side because they're actually from here. John Calhoun, your 7th vice president, is buried across the street because he's not from here. They actually shuffled his ass back and forth trying to figure out where he's supposed to go. So, turns out he's not from here. He just lived here for a very long time. But again, he's been on both sides, and that sarcophagus is above ground, and they do have that cemetery open during the daylight hours, so that way you guys can go visit that. It's usually when there's a president or vice president, it's got to stay open for the public. So,
Cool.
not very well liked around here, just so you guys know.
That's cool, isn't it?
Does it say cool?
Cool.
Just like it was fun.
Hey.
But every ghost tour stops up there because there's a sign right inside the gate. It says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, so the reason for that is because in 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. And we just talked about initials based with Eliza that we've already seen, and then the RI from the Philadelphia Alley story, but Sue Howard Hardy's initials, SHH. It's very campy, very cheesy. I hate it. I hate telling you, but I see it and hear it all the time. So, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. Very abrupt ending to her story. All the other tours like to make it this big dramatic thing.
I heard baby like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, see? That's the stuff we need.
That's the good stuff,
Well,
right?
I wait for him to tell me something if it's relevant. Then
Well,
I'm like,
you're supposed to tell me everything.
You're supposed to tell them everything. Come
You
on,
heard it, so
Will.
I'm gonna write it down. It's passing
You
through.
gotta say, tell them what you hear. I don't think she died swimming.
This one says swim.
Swim.
Drown?
No.
Is there drowning? No. Okay.
Nope, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
We're going to be talking about pirates, so.
We did
saw
see,
a pirate
we saw
today.
a pirate
You're
today.
reaching.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that
There's
was
a couple. There's a couple floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dress up for the tours. I'm dressed like a paranormal investigator because that's what I actually am. So I need all the cargo pockets that I can get. You know. So, but baby, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I let them have it. 1987, a local photographer is actually taking pictures of all of our cemeteries. He captures a full apparition in one of his photographs.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Right? But the picture's cursed. So when I show you the picture, please do not touch the tablet. It is cursed to females. Females that are handling it, even in a digital format of cell phones or tablets. Same symptoms we talked about at Big John's, the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females are probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the story. Because you gave me the word baby, I will make sure that the link that I give you is not of the actual apparition, so that way you guys don't hit it by accident. In the event something else pops up where I have to give you that link where it shows the picture anyway, your link will say warning cursed photo. You guys have to imagine, this is what I do for a living. Nobody's leaving here after having a great vacation and 9 months later I cursed your family. So again, that's just not going to happen on my watch. So I'm going to show the photograph. You guys are seeming very nervous over there for some odd reason. You guys okay? Okay.
Oh yeah. If I look nervous, I just have anxiety.
Fair enough.
And I'm
So-
just not used to her sitting this far away from me, and I assume something's wrong.
Ah,
wait, the
Understood.
photo that the photographer took is
Here, the one he's going to show you.
Yeah.
in
Do
1888.
not touch it.
he took it in 1987, 99 years later.
Do not touch it. If you don't want to see it, you don't have to see
Yeah,
I go in
I don't
for
have
it if
to
I
show
touch
to
it.
you. I'll just skip you.
If I'm pregnant, Jesus is coming back and has made more choices.
So, full photograph. There's your full apparition. She's praying over her own
Is it?
grave, and the baby basket is
Pendant?
pretty clear stuff.
Wait, what is it of?
It's
It's
the apparition.
the mom and the baby. So, full picture.
Yep.
Your apparition is here. This is Sue's grave. You can see her praying over her own grave. You're looking at her back and shoulders, and the baby basket is next to her.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, and even when you blow it up even further on a computer, you can see the weaving of the basket, like pretty clearly.
That's crazy.
So the birth date and or the death date of the mom has shown up here in the past. So I mean, we do get legitimate stuff that comes up out of this. It's the only reason why I like to tell this story. But again, that's their show and tell. Every ghost story, that's their finale.
Okay.
So I let them have it. So Jeff, once we are done with the pirate story over across the street, if there's nobody over here, if you want to come over and venture and get a little bit of footage of the cemetery, you're free to do so.
Yep.
Just don't interrupt the other tours. It's the only thing I ask.
Okay.
All right, so let's get your mindset on pirates. Libby's like, wow, this guy's just nuts. How the hell does he remember all this crap? I do it night after night after night after night. That's how. So, any other terms that you guys are hearing or seeing before?
The word pendant came up a bit.
I just heard like final resting.
Final resting.
What?
They could have been
See,
resting.
you probably have great stuff in that brain all night long.
I just heard you're a fan at some point when you were complaining about them going over there.
You're a fad or you're
Fan.
fat? Oh, you're a fan.
I don't know. That
I
was
like final resting. As I'm showing the photo, that's good stuff.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. So, does everybody see the burning gas lamp off in the distance past that crowd? Kind of flickering in the distance?
Yeah.
So that's the pirate house. You guys have been on this block several times. It has an anchor on the front of it with red awnings on it. So somebody does live there. Don't go in his backyard looking for ghosts. He also gets angry. Don't ask me how I know. Just one of those things that I do. Yeah, right? But that's where Blackbeard's men would come off their ships, and they'd have a place to stay. And the cool thing is, well, they met with a few ladies. Too. We're pretty much all adults here, right?
I'm sure.
So, but they dug a tunnel underneath that pirate house. And that tunnel went 1 block away to where Dock Street Theater sits now. You guys been walking around, you've probably seen Dock Street Theater already, but at the time it was called Planters Hotel. Planters Hotel was a whorehouse, a playhouse, and a hotel. The whorehouse was obviously the attraction because we're talking pirates, but pirates were also our first stagehands. They were going over there to work in between bartering with the locals to make a few extra bucks before going back out to sea. So that tunnel actually has a few rumors around it. Well, let me first tell you that the non-rumor is that it was filled in the 1990s. Why the hell it took us so long to fill it in when we're below sea level, I have no idea. But it was a legitimate thing. There was a tunnel underneath the whole block. The first rumor is that Blackbeard actually buried some of his treasure there. I'll call BS on that because we all know that that treasure's in North Carolina, not South Carolina. So at least if you live down here, you know that. Second thing is that they say that that tunnel went all the way out past White Point Garden because that was a way for pirates to sneak into the city. I call BS on that one just because how the hell are you going to hide a pirate ship in a bay? And you're going to need a tunnel to sneak in? Not to mention 40 to 60 men. That's still a long way for them to be digging. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. I will buy the fact that they went over to where Dock Street Theater sits now. So again, just because it was legitimately there. So now that your mindset's going on pirates, let's kind of go across the street and learn about this crazy young female over here. This is the crazy whopper.
Okay. Okay.
I heard it loud when they stopped. I think he said that.
Yeah. So 20 was Big John's first jersey number. 22 is the year Eliza was born, and it was the age that she was when she got married. So when I hear the year 2022, I just throw it away. I want to hear it 20% off. There were 22 men killed. Like, I want to hear it in a specific instance. So
I heard 2020 vision.
2020 vision.
As we were walking specifically through that gate, I heard I lost hope. So
Go.
I also heard
I'll hold
someone say thank you so much right when you said the treasure was in North Carolina, followed by Bones.
Bones is good. I like that one. Okay, so first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing.
He's going to the porta potty.
I figured. Most of the gentlemen on my tours do. That's where they go. They go straight to it as soon as we get to this location. So we're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. First off, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're unfamiliar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. So in the event we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886 that I showed you all earlier, basically you can turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. Just so you know. The reason I bring these up is because it's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston actually put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So we are here because this place is a familiar, basically like using a toy to attract a child ghost. So Anne Bonny, the famous female, was actually here during the time of its construction. So we talked about the Charlestown walls earlier. I'm going to give you a little bit more history on the building, just because it's super fun and I love it. And when you can see things visually, it just makes all big sense. So where that garage sits now is where that original Charlestown wall was. It went up past the powder magazine and started going south behind me this way to lock the gunpowder magazine into the corners of the walls. It was about half a block away. So they did that to keep it as far away from the water as they could and keep it fortified. So that way, in case Revolutionary War ships or pirate ships were coming up along the coast, they were going to have a hard time reaching the powder magazine, let alone getting through the 35-inch thick walls. So we're going to pretend that it got shot and a cannonball goes all the way through those thick walls and blows up the gunpowder. Underneath those red shingles is sand, put there in the early 1700s during its construction to basically go up with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. We had another powder magazine that did get hit, the sand went up, the building burned to the ground, it just doesn't exist anymore. This one's just never been attacked. Has served in 7 different wars and a rebellion, and the Civil War was its last servant. So if you're a history buff, this is the place to be. If you ever want to get out of our heat or our cold, it's spend the $5 and take 30 minutes for it. Not an advocate for this place, I just find the building absolutely fascinating. So, again, this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? 10 years? Small building? No, not at all. Not us. So, during its construction is when our story begins. In 1708, you gotta follow me because there's a lot of twists. So Clayton, you ready
Oh,
for
I
this?
had the word twist earlier.
How much earlier?
Or a while ago. I mean, when we were standing by the alley.
Okay. So we're still relatively close. And again, I would still expect terms from the Philadelphia Alley story here, the dual story.
Okay.
So, just so you know, things
Did I have
bleed
mine
over.
unmuted?
You can. If it gets too distracting for me, I'll have you mute it.
Okay.
So, 1708, young lady moves here with her father. Her name is Anne Cormack. She's with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? The three of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she that you got to get your ass on a boat and leave your country because she's that angry that you were cheating on her when you had a child, illegitimately? So, they land in Georgetown, just north of here, which is basically between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation, mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to basically keep things afloat by selling things from the plantation, which is why we're here at this building, and it is from the same time era. Keep in mind, when Anne was back home in Ireland, she was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So, again,
Not a pipe.
not a pipe. Very interesting. It's funny.
Let's give a clue.
I smoke a pipe.
All right.
Like a tobacco pipe,
Oh,
to be
yeah.
clear. And I was like, as we were walking through, I'm like, I kind of wish I had my pipe with me right now. But it is kind of funny. That was when we were leaving Philadelphia Alley.
Sorry.
That's okay. But again, it's a good one. So kind of keep that mentality of Anne as we're kind of going through this whole story. We're going to fast forward. Building 7, 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715, a few years later. Anne's stoked. She's going to fall in love. Guy number one, yes, I'm going to keep tally because there's quite a few of them. His name happens to be James Bonny. She falls in love with him. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica and they get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny. You kind of seen where that one was going, right? So when they get there, this guy is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. Yes, I practiced that one in front of the mirror so I can get it right and I don't stumble. So this guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. This is not who she wanted to marry. So a few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Yes, this is the same Jack that they based Captain Jack Sparrow off of. And he has his own pirate guild and wants to be part of it. But you can't put a girl on the crew. Why? Because girls curse pirate ships. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and be part of the crew, you can be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. Let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. Can't have... She's eventually going to get pregnant, right? So you can't have a pregnant pirate guy, a pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a female. So he drops her from Cuba to go deliver the baby with some friends of his, and he says, come back later, we'll figure it out. She has the baby, but returns with no child. We have no idea what happened to this child. This is pirate lore, folks. We have no idea what the hell happened. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't care anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty mad. While she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. To make him even more mad, she's going to go flirting with that pirate crew to make him even more angry. Guy number three. Guy number three turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew the Calico Jack just captured. So now we have two females, dressed like guys, to be pirates, basically, on the same ship. This young lady's name was Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain. But the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only two pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks. Obviously, they don't know how to use cannons. So it's weird you're getting a lot of static when I say that. I think they're pissed or showed off they don't know how to do something. But anyway, as they're being arrested, because two young ladies taking on a whole fleet of ships is not going to end well, they're being arrested. She looks at her captain in a bow and she says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. The word dog is very prominent here, obviously for your spirit box points. But the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. So if you hear a female name, it's not me, it's usually the judge. He wants to see the two men that fought back by themselves so valiantly after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't come up and fight. So the two ladies go in front, they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies, was the last thing they said, basically both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. Yes, that's husband number 2. Guy number 4 has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. 84. Now, all right. As far as Mary Reed, she died a year later in 1721 in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. So use your imagination on that one. It's pretty nasty and gross. I am going to steal one more minute of your time. Well, I guess first and foremost, for you Spirit Box folks, I only left out 2 things out of that story I can actually prove. That would be the name of Anne Bonny's parents, the father and the mistress. The other piece would be Calico Jack's ship. That's what that is. Everything else is fair game. You all know what the hell you're doing by now. We've spent probably more than 2 hours together at this point, so you'll be able to ask anything you want to. But again, I'm going to steal your minds for one more minute because that heated warning I gave everybody at the beginning, this is the story where I say it's actually relevant to the story. Back in September, I brought my group back here. It was practically actually a night just like this. Nice and cool, nice little breezy. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost. When I say white as a ghost, white as a ghost. Starts to fall. I have to pick him up by his armpit before he hits his head on the ground. His boyfriend picks him up on the other side of him. We take him over to that brick wall, which is where we're going to end, and I'm going to go hang out and wait for you guys to come back to me. But he's feeling better after I send the boyfriend over to get him a bottle of water, yada yada. I then tell the story. It's important to know that they don't know what you guys now know. They pull me aside after I spread everybody out with their devices and say, we have to tell you something. What's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it made sense as to why one of them passed out as soon as we entered the space. You have to take that for what it's worth. Psychics and mediums normally don't make it through the story, just so you know. Pinkley Mansion is usually too much. Tonight was kind of weak over there. We had some really good stuff with Thomas, but again, that was kind of light for what I normally see. So, this space, we don't normally see EMF. If we see anything on your red screen, I'll be excited. It's all about your REM pod in here. The closer you get to those bushes in the corners, it's going to go off based on the electrical poles and the parking meters on the other side. Jeff, if you want to film the front of the powder magazine, you can. Just wait your turn if another tour is there, because again, you don't want to just barge in and start recording stuff. If there's nobody at the cemetery, yes.
We might have been in the bathroom when you were talking
What?
about the powder.
What?
Powder magazine.
You know,
It's that
Yeah,
building there.
right there.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I was paying
So you
attention.
would have to exit the lot and make a left. Or you can go over to the cemetery if you like. You can go back and forth if you want. The
Okay.
camera does like to act up in here, which is why I normally send it away. Like, we are going to end at that brick wall in like 5 to 7 minutes based on what you guys are hearing. If you get excited, please come see me based on what you guys are hearing, what you're seeing. Just kind of keep things in mind with the other tours are going to be passing through. But again, I'm going to go chill on the wall. I'm going to actually have a little smoke and wait for you guys to do your work. See how that works, Amy? You guys paid me to go to work?
I don't know if that means anything.
You're next to the church. We get religious terms here all the time.
Okay.
I'm surprised Olivia and Rue haven't heard their own.
Okay.
I hear altar, I hear Jesus, I hear all kinds of things.
I
Bible.
get what you were talking.
Tailpipe.
Trying to get something out of her.
Go on then.
think, man?
Just filming. Waiting for something to show up.
It's usually what people are doing is they're just waiting. They want something to happen.
Of course. Of course.
I really wish Olivia would have heard more phrases because she's got the gist on how to do it. I think she was just afraid to say what she's actually heard.
Cash and money.
Oh. Well, what are pirates normally after?
Yeah.
Treasure. I like cash and
Treasure.
Batman like group.
Yeah, that's pretty common around here too. Just so you know, like, and I don't hide anything. Like every investigation stays up for a year. So if you want to go back and see what happened on your birthday, or if I had a tour on a specific anniversary date or something, go back and look. It's all there. I don't hide anything. That camera loves to crap out in this space. Like when I say
In this
crap out,
space?
yeah, it'll like give me white lines that aren't supposed to be there.
I haven't
Like,
seen
almost
anything
like
like
a-
that. I
an
walked
old
out and over to the cemetery and back and around.
Okay.
Haven't seen anything irregular.
I just got doctored.
See, totally we're gonna get things wrapped around that damn doctor down the street. He loves to gloat. Of course, right at the end she gets the hang of it, right?
Of course. Come out of her shell. Ooh. You doing, Lip? What you doing?
There's a pirate down there.
Pirate. Where? Big bird. Okay, this is stupid. This is the stupidest thing I've ever done, I think. Stupid-doo.
Now what do you look at her? She's walking around like a badass now. Like she's like, I know what I'm doing.
Nothing, nothing.
She got doctored.
I heard. That's pretty awesome. And cash money.
Who got cash money?
She did.
Yeah.
Pirates are after treasure all the
Yeah,
damn
they
time.
What other news? Let's see.
Kaylee, you got anything on
Got
yours?
good stuff.
Nothing?
Come from the sky. No. So it was interesting. Rue was walking under the tree and it said, "We don't like your kind." She's transgender.
She said what?
She heard, "We don't like your kind." She's transgender.
Oh, she took that personally?
No, she was very kind-hearted about it. Oh, Debbie. I got Debbie.
Who's the girl?
Rue.
I'm getting a heavy Hendrix vibe.
How
off
about
of her.
Debbie? Yeah. Deborah?
Deborah.
Debbie? No, it's Debbie.
Deborah.
Funny thing about that word list, it loves to predict things. Oftentimes, it'll give me names of my guests who are next. Yeah, happens all the time. Or it'll give me the nationality of somebody on the tour, especially if there's somebody of a very distinct nationality, Chinese, Oriental. It'll give me like Filipino or something along those lines. I'm like, okay, I have to ask. You know,
Who
it's
it is,
like, is anybody here this descent? And we'll be like,
Yeah, what's your fucking mom's name?
so they love to predict. So the fact that you gave me the name
I've heard Philip, Jack, James, and Lucy.
it's just so weird. It happens all the time. We must be
Debbie and Nathan.
I think it said stinky.
Again, it's usually on the next nut. Like
That's funny.
it is. I see it all the time.
Sometimes, like I got Debbie and Nathan, and you just know the ties here. So sometimes it's on the tour.
That's weird.
It is.
That's
It's like
weird.
somebody's predicting what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's head over to the wall.
Okay.
What's going on?
There's another town, so.
I like my word box.
Let's talk about like what I'm actually excited about. You guys actually
Heard another town. Kind of what it sounded like, but it sounded like a male's voice saying it.
The name Charles was heard. Charles Pinkman's right across the street. So that actually shows up pretty common here. The name Jack showed up. So obviously Calico Jack, so that's a definite relative there. James was possible, right? So James Bonnie was the first husband. Cash money, obviously pirates are always after treasure. The word doctor was heard. Obviously I told you we'd be getting terms wrapped around the doctor for the rest of the night. Philip, we're standing on St. Philip's property. That's St. Philip's steeple. So that's often found. You guys are finding all the common things that I normally see here. A man, Jesus, any religious terms I normally take as like we're standing next to a church. And then the number 21 was heard. Mary Reed died in 1721. Number 14 was also heard. I just don't know if it's relevant. I don't know if it's false information. So I wrote it down, so if it actually pops up in my research of any kind of death date, birth date, especially connected to Mary Reed, I'll definitely be giving you that. So, no readings come out of you, Kayla, at all. So kind of a dead spot tonight. You did get a lot of weird randomness, right?
Yes.
So weird.
English.
You have English?
Yeah. Just,
Mary Reed was an English. She came from England.
Just came in. English.
We'll take it. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
It says pirate next.
It says pirate
know what I-
next. I'm going into that little.
You know what I've noticed? Like words that you find significant last on my screen very short periods of time, whereas things that aren't very significant last a very long time on this.
So it's like I said, the game we're playing is it coming from the app or is it coming from the ghost?
Right.
So the picture, you can go ahead and kill your video. I'm going to start collecting devices here in a minute. Because it stops taking a charge, but I've been showing off this video just because this is exactly where we're standing. So it's basically an infrared camera. I want you to kind of watch. As soon as I get the play button. It's going to be coming through this way, and just to kind of give you a gist of what this camera actually does, it's probably one of the best boards I've ever caught. Any second now.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, the camera has caught things like that almost every single night I've had it out. So when it stopped taking a charge and I had to get a hold of the manufacturer, I was pissed. Like, man. So I do have an older version of this camera. It's not as illuminary as this one. It doesn't make the whole screen purple. It's just got kind of spotlights on it. But again, it's exactly right where we're standing. And this was just a few weeks ago.
That's good.
So again, very cool stuff. I think you guys did an excellent job. This is about an average of what I normally see. So like today was pretty good with as far as your device giving us a lot of names and really cool stuff. The Pinckney Mansion site was a little later than what I normally see. So we'll kind of see what comes up out of it. I think Olivia was scared to tell us a little bit about what she was hearing, just because she didn't know if it was going to be relevant or not. So again, it's all about whatever you hear is you got to see if there is a tie. When I do my own investigations, I don't want to know the history first. I always do the history after I've reviewed the media. So, the top of your data page tomorrow, I'm going to stop your audio here in a minute just so you guys know how much media you're getting back. But I'm normally done with it by noon, just so everybody knows. Again, I'm only going to review it for about 2 hours. We'll see how much data you're going to actually have. So let's see here. Get this connected.
And we'll all get the same thing.
Oh yeah,
The same
yeah.
thing.
So it's what everybody was working on. So all of the notes that I wrote down of things that weren't recording, So Olivia's and Kayla's devices, and obviously Clayton's device, we're not recording. So an hour and 54 minutes, and that's only because it looked like I seemed to cut the Pinckney Mansion site about 5 minutes short because there really wasn't much going on. So again, you're still going to have close to that, about 5.5 to 6.5 hours worth of media to review, plus all the links and reading I'm going to give you. You're going to have a good 9-hour workday ahead of you. So that's what you all paid for. I know, right? You guys must have showed up like super early. It's only 10:45.
We
did like so.
We were like 10 minutes still, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
we all
I
tried to
started
show up
walking
early.
when it
Yeah.
was like 8 o'clock.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not complaining. It was just kind of like, all right, it's early,
Look, we
right?
did a good
Just
job.
like, I don't time
Efficient.
anything.
Seems like
It's
it.
just like whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Some tours last 2.5 hours. We never know.
Well, while you were talking, it